In this lecture, you're going to learn about the junk email filter. Outlook's junk email filter does not stop delivery of junk email messages. Instead, it moves suspected spam to the junk email folder. By default, the junk email filter is turned on and the protection level is set to no automatic filtering. And we'll go over that when we look at the settings. While junk email filter checks your incoming messages automatically, the junk email filter lists let you control what is considered spam. You can add names, email addresses, and domains to these lists so that it doesn't filter or check messages from sources you trust and blocks messages from those you don't. And just like the clutter feature, it's recommended that you occasionally check the junk email folder to make sure that a message you wanted isn't moved in error. So at this point, let's go over using the junk email filter lists. I'm going to go to the Home tab, the Delete group, and click on Junk. Once we do that, it's going to bring up our list of options. What we're going to check right now is the junk email option, so we're going to go to the bottom and click on it. This is going to bring up our junk email options dialog box. We'll start with the Options tab. This is how you set your level of protection for junk email. Like I had said, no automatic filtering is the default. This is the lowest level possible, but if you have block senders set up, they'll still be moved to the junk email folder. As we move down the list, the protection level becomes higher. So if we go to low, it's going to move the obvious junk email messages to junk email folder. The next level, high, with this option, most junk email is caught, but some regular messages may be caught as well, so you need to check it more often. With the last option, only those people or domains that are in your safe senders list or safe recipients list will be delivered to your inbox. This is the highest level of protection. So if you didn't mark something as safe, it's not going to come into your inbox. It'll go into the junk folder. For our example, I'm going to set it to low. Once you do that, once you turn it off of no, you'll notice we get a couple more options available to us. Well, the first option we have is to permanently delete suspected junk email instead of moving it to the folder. I personally don't recommend this because, like it says, some messages may inadvertently get moved to the junk email folder, and if you're telling it to permanently delete messages, you're not going to see these. The other two options that become available if you choose low, high, or safe are disable links and other functionality in phishing messages, and warn me about suspicious domain names and email addresses. It's recommended that you have these two checked, and so I'm going to leave them checked. Let's go over to the Safe Senders tab. This is where you set up email addresses or domains for safe senders, and these will never be treated as junk email. In order to set somebody up or a domain up, click the Add button, and then type in the email address or the domain. Click OK. Down at the bottom you have two options available. You can also trust email from your contacts, and you can automatically add people to your safe list that you email. Let's go over to the Safe Recipients tab. This option is used if you belong to a mailing list or a distribution list. You can add the list sender to the Safe Recipients list, and so those emails will be treated as safe and never go into the junk email folder as well. And you add them the same way. Click the Add button and put the sender's email or the domain name here and click OK. Let's click on Block Senders. This is where you would add any senders or domains that you want to block. So if there's a specific spam you're continually getting, you can add it to the block senders list. Now keep in mind, a lot of spam that comes in, they're continually changing their email addresses. So if it's not legitimate spam, such as an advertisement that always comes from a company that you no longer want to deal with, they're a little bit harder to block out. But you would add them the same way. Click Add, type in the domain or the email address, and click OK. Once you've set everything, click the Apply button and click OK. And now you've got your blocked email list set up. Now, if something inadvertently gets moved into your junk email and you don't want it to be in there, let's say, for instance, let's go in. I've got this email and I don't want it to be part of my junk email list. I can do a right click on it, go down to the junk option, and tell it it's not junk. Once you do that, it's going to come up with the Mark as Not Junk dialog box, and it's going to tell you it's going to move it back to the inbox. And then it'll have the option to always trust email from that email address. If you check the box, anything that comes in again from that email address will not be marked as junk. So if this is just a specific message you don't want marked as junk because you're going to deal with it, don't check that box. But for this, I'll leave it checked and say OK. The message is gone from here, and it puts it back into my inbox. Now, if we go back to my inbox, if there's a message in here that I want to mark as junk, do a right click, go to Junk Options, and tell it to block the sender. Once you do that, it's going to give you a dialog box telling you emails from that sender have been added to the blocked senders list, and the message was moved to the junk folder. So I'll say OK, come back over to our junk folder, and there's the message. So it's very easy to also just go in and, as you're cleaning out your inbox, tell it which messages are junk. Instead of deleting them, do a right click and tell them they're junk so that they actually get moved into the junk folder, and the next time you get a message from that sender, it will automatically go to the junk folder. That way you're not constantly deleting messages from the same senders. But remember, always go into your junk folder and check it on a regular basis to make sure things are not going in there inadvertently. There could be important messages in there that you're missing. To get to your junk folder options, we always go to the Home tab, Delete Group, Junk, and you've got your junk email options.